You are looking live from my little studio here in Wichita, Kansas. Christopher Serra Jr. in Detroit, Michigan. And we are 5 minutes away from the start of the Tuesday Night Spectacular right here on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Twitch, all the other stuff. I think we're even on Instagram now at this point. Going to recap week number 3 in the National Football League. Come back and preview week number 4, along with all your news and notes from around the NFL. So stick around. We'll look forward to talking with you. Be sure to comment, and if my understanding is correct, we're even going to have a poll question for you tonight. Here's the poll question for you tonight.
Oops, sorry guys.
Blast off!
What's up, everybody?
Good evening, Chris.
Good evening.
Hi, Ron. Good to see you're with us already.
I'm so lost today.
You are lost. Your video's not on yet.
I'll be there in a second, buddy.
Oh. Moving and grooving to the music. Oh, that's what it was. It was all about
Check out the new gear. Check out the new shirt.
All right.
Check that out.
Yeah, the video screwed it all up.
I'll try to get it. I'll put a post picture on here later. All right, for everybody who's new here and for all the people who do follow us, if you check the link of Spotify should be actually in the top of the post this week. So if you haven't followed us on Spotify, you can literally click and follow right now if you want to. We appreciate it. And how you doing tonight, Ron? Man, we ate a lot of Cardinals in Arizona.
There he is, lighting it up. All right. Well, I got a little something here I want to start with. It's just been weighing on me, and I need to let everybody know that I have multiple personality disorder, and that means that I'm of two minds. My first mind says that calls are missed by the referees all the time. And whoever the winning teams are in the league, people claim that it's, the referees in the league are looking out for particular teams. And of course, I'm talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. But, they don't always get all the calls, okay? And people are not always getting, the calls against the Chiefs or the calls for the Chiefs. It doesn't matter how many penalties are thrown on Kansas City. The refs are looking out for the Chiefs when it comes down to it. And then you have, let me lay this one down for you, okay? Does anybody remember when in a primetime game, Chris Jones sacked Derek Carr and took the ball away from him in the process of the sack, and they called him for roughing the passer, even though he clearly braced himself to not land with all of his weight on top of him and stripped the ball from the player. The league didn't turn that play over. Okay. Does anybody remember when the Los Angeles Ram player hit the wide receiver in the NFC Championship game 2 seconds before the ball even got there and no pass interference was called? The league wanted the Rams to make it to the Super Bowl. Rams didn't win the Super Bowl that year. They lost to the Patriots.
Yeah.
Okay. Last night in the Monday night game, okay, clearly pass interference on, on the Washington player, and they didn't call nothing. Okay, didn't call anything. Does that mean that the league wants the Washington Commanders to go to the Super Bowl? Okay. Somebody posted in my little post that I made because I'm mocking everybody that gives us a hard time that, there's so many penalties in favor of the Chiefs. I remember in game 1, okay, of last year, illegal formation, false start, illegal formation, false start. Juwan Taylor must have been hit with an illegal formation or false start 6 times in that game. And we talked about, this year, it happened to Baltimore. Okay, move up 6 inches. Like these players cannot adapt to the way the officials are calling the game. Baseball players adapt to the strike zones that different, umpires have in baseball. Why is it these players cannot adapt to the rules in the NFL? Illegal formation, he was off the line. False start, he kicked back before the ball was snapped. You've got a lot of that. Okay. And so, there's that stuff. But, the other thing that comes to mind is, okay, and the reason why I'm bringing this up, not just to, give shit to the haters out there, because the Chiefs are going to get the absolute best from everybody. They're going to get their best game every time. And that's why they're not winning these games by a very large margin. They're coming down to the wire. Detroit's getting everybody's best shot because they're one of the best teams. San Francisco's getting everybody's best shot because they were one of the Final Four teams. Everybody was talking up the Baltimore Ravens, because they were a Final Four team last year, and they got beat by the Raiders in Baltimore, who then turned around and got beat by the Carolina Panthers with Andy Dalton at quarterback.
Exactly.
And so I have a few things to say. They do not have a sky judge in the NFL. Calls are going to be missed. It's not the league looking out for specific teams. That's this mind. Okay? We'll talk about the other mind in a minute.
Hey.
But, okay, we don't know who these teams are yet. They don't know. They don't play in the preseason. And so because they do not, teams are still trying to figure out what they're good at and what they're not good at. Okay? Unless you have a really veteran team and you worked like dogs in the preseason and training camp, you don't really know what you've got. Now we get to the other mind of things. Many times during games, we hear the words replay assist, or New York has, they're hearing from New York here, and this call is going to be changed, or they're hearing the replay assistant, or after a conference on the field, the following has been called. Okay. Why is it that plays like that pass interference call are not discussed on the field? They can see it in a replay. Yes, it's not reviewable, but they can see it. Okay? They know that there are calls that they're missing. New York contacts them if it's something that they want done. Replay assist somehow, becomes involved when it's something that they want done. And I find it interesting that all of these plays that are blatant, that we all can see, it's clearly on television, we're all watching it, some specific plays are adjusted and others are not. And that's where the other mind comes in and asks you, what effect to changing a play on the field because of New York, because of the replay assist, because it was blatant on TV, because they want to, what effect, what causes that to get changed? And does it have anything to do with the gambling that is now legal on the NFL? Does any of that have, it's suspect. Everybody expected Cincinnati to beat Washington last night. Cincinnati gets that call, okay, it could be a completely different ball game. They didn't get the call.
Yeah.
Well, was that because all the money was on Cincinnati? We don't know.
I think it's just the game.
No, if the things that are happening here, okay, because there isn't transparency. There is no transparency when it comes to officiating the games. We do not have a sky judge like they do in the XFL, USFL, where a guy explains the call on the field. He's up in the booth. He's got the monitor. He says, hey, we're going to change this. This was obvious. We're going to change this. The NFL doesn't do that. And billions of dollars are spent. And now that the league is in cahoots with the gambling sites, you can't watch a game. You can't go to a stadium without seeing advertisements for DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, Caesars Palace, all of the different gambling sites, and some of them are sponsored by the NFL because now the NFL gets their cut of that money. Well, they're not going to get a cut of that money if there's no money to hand out because the team everybody was betting on won the game. Okay? And so I think that there's a lot of impropriety going on. I am not a conspiracy theorist generally. I believe in facts and real things, but when there is enough evidence starting to pile up, you got to start to question whether or not this shit's on the up and up. A lot of people online, and I know there's a lot of people that are, delusional, okay, when it comes to things, and they go far, far out there. But a lot of people online are starting to believe that some of this shit really is scripted.
I don't think
they
try to favor teams to benefit
the
league.
Go ahead, Chris. Give me your take on everything I just said when it comes to penalties. It's the one thing. It's the one thing they can do to alter the way the game is. You can't have the players in on it because if anybody knew and they said something, the gig would be up.
I mean, for instance, look at Detroit and Arizona. Jared Goff should have had a pick 6 on his resume. He hiked the ball. It was hard to tell if the ball was actually moving, but it had to be moving because as soon as the clock clicked 0, the ball was launched towards Jared Goff. And he got rushed, and he tried to throw the ball away. Well, it got deflected. There was a defender right there, went right in the arms. He ran it right back to the end zone. All of a sudden, as the Lions players are starting to walk towards the sideline, the refs stopped play, and they reviewed the clock, and they said it's a 2-minute warning. And guess what? I'm a Lions fan. I didn't bitch. I took the call. But guess what? I wouldn't have been mad either if it happened because guess what? It really happened. Well, it was a 50-50 call. Even the people in the booth were surprised. They were having a whole conversation about how it was a pick 6 and everything. So, I mean, every team gets it. It's just not KC. It just gets pointed out against KC because it's like the Patriots. So this is what you need to get used to, David.
Oh, I'm used to it.
Team wins all the time. This is how you're gonna have to deal with it. The Patriots dealt with this for years. I mean, you're still hearing people talk about Tom Brady cheating and deflating footballs. I don't know.
That's the best part about this. Okay, the best part about this is we don't have any, Spygate. We don't have any Deflategate. We don't have Spygate 2. We don't have none of that crap. What we have is Taylor Swift.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor Swift. That's our controversy. We're going back to the Super Bowl this year because it's Taylor Swift.
You know, it's people want to reach. You know, guess what? I get sick of seeing KC win as much as anybody sometimes. But hey, at the end of the day,
you don't. You want us to win so you can be the team that knocks us down.
I mean, of course I want that. But what I'm trying to say is at the end of the day, I'm a football fan.
Right.
If I see a team putting the work in to be that good and be that consistent good, guess what? They're that fucking good. It just is. I mean, come on now. I get it because, you know, we go to hockey. Experienced the Red Wings when they were winning all their cups, and we were the dominant team in the NHL, and no one could stop our dynasty. I mean, don't get me wrong, we weren't winning cup after year, but we won 4 cups inside of 20 years. That's pretty damn impressive in hockey. And because
I think that we are. The league is kind of spoiled. Okay,
yeah.
The league is spoiled. You know, it took. The Pittsburgh Steelers, and this was mentioned on one of the shows that I watch. I forget which one, but it was mentioned, and it might have even been last night, that the Pittsburgh Steelers are considered a model franchise in the NFL. Okay? They are a winning organization. They've only had 3 coaches in forever, you know, and they can consistently are winning year after year. They may not be spectacular. They may not, you know, always make the playoffs, but they haven't had a losing record in a really long time. And they have won 6 Super Bowls in 85 years and are considered a great franchise.
Yeah.
The whole New England Patriots winning 6 in 23 years and the Chiefs winning 3 in the last 6 years, these are aberrations. Okay? These are aberrations, and people are, I think are taking for granted the greatness that we've seen since 2000.
Yeah, because
the last 20, 25 years, they have taken for granted, because it has been the Patriots, the Steelers, the Colts, and the Broncos, both with Peyton Manning. You've got the Ravens won a couple, and the Chiefs have won 3, but people do not realize they're making it look easy. It really looks easy, but it's not. We know it's not. It's hard to win a Super Bowl. Detroit hasn't won one. Jacksonville hasn't won one. Carolina hasn't won one. Arizona hasn't won one. Cleveland hasn't won one. Buffalo hasn't won one. Those are just the ones I can name.
I want to break this down real quick. I just want to put this people in opinion and comment if you agree with me. Now, football works a lot like this. You have teams you have owners in this league who care more about selling tickets, selling jerseys, and selling stadiums out, but they don't care necessarily if they win the big show. And what I mean like that is you got teams, and there's a lot of teams out here. They're doing this right now. They sign these big star players. AKA the Jets. Aaron Rodgers. Guess what they did? Sold fucking tickets.
Yep.
The owner made sure he was selling tickets because he got Aaron Rodgers. Now he adds his couple stars he drafted in there with them. Makes it all pretty. Now when you got Jet fans now, you talk to some Jet fans, they think they're winning the Super Bowl.
Right?
You've seen comments by the media, a Super Bowl prediction, right?
Yeah.
For the Jets. Other teams do this repeatedly. They sign the big players, they get themselves in cap trouble, but in reality, all they're doing is paying for merchandise, ticket sales, and making sure they're making money.
It takes money. It takes money to make money, and
now
it's
you got exactly. Now you got a team like KC. Guess what? Kelsey became a superstar, but was Travis Kelsey the superstar he was before Patrick Mahomes? Not really. He was starting to.
He was a Pro Bowler.
No, I know, but Alex Smith is the one that got him to the first Pro Bowl. That's when Kelsey became the true tight end number one, and his career started moving up. But would he been the same Kelsey that he is today without Patrick Mahomes?
Of course not.
Exactly. So now you just took two superstars, and then you got lucky and got a couple more superstars on the defensive side. You got your internal core set from defense to offense. And then you built with good football players around those cores. You still paid a lot of money, but you didn't pay as much as some of these other teams are trying to do.
Well, that's the parity in the league. We're the model. We're the model of how it's supposed to go. You know, you basically you hire a good coach. You put a what do I want to call it? An atmosphere of winning around the team. You know, a family, a belief. Everybody's bought in. It started with Alex Smith. They traded for him so they had a decent quarterback. But he wasn't thought of as a decent quarterback because he'd been through offensive coordinator after offensive coordinator, you know, forever. Okay. And he didn't get, you know, the stability of a franchise that has the same coach year after year after year.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you start with him, you know, you build. Football is a simple game. You run the ball and you play defense. And they had Jamal Charles at the time. Okay. And so they worked on the defensive side and they did just enough with the defense, you know, to get into the playoffs. And they had, you know, an exotic offense because Andy Reid's an exotic offensive guy. And then eventually it got to the point where, you know, they felt like they needed a quarterback to put them over the top. So they get Patrick Mahomes. The defense was not performing up to snuff, so they changed coordinators. He handpicked some players that he wanted to bring in that knew his system. They come in, and, you know, the defense starts to improve. Now, you've got a great front office, and you've got, you know, the general manager and a scouting department. The scouting departments, when they are working well with the general manager, the front office, and you can draft young, productive players because eventually, just like L'Jarius Sneed and just like Tyreek Hill, you can't afford to pay them all. And that's going to be, you know, you guys set yourselves up for success because before everybody can get to the point where, hey, I want top dollar, the line, you know, everything, you guys extended Amon-Ra St. Brown. You extended Penei Sewell. You extended, you know, Jared Goff. You got your offensive stars all signed up. Laporta was just a rookie last year, so they've got a few years to wait. Hutchinson will be next, probably next year, as soon as they could get him on an extension, because the money is only going to continue to go up under the salary cap with all these streaming services coming in, paying more and more money. The cap's going to continue to rise. They're doing all these international games. I did not know when I brought it up this offseason that the league ownership group had only approved for so many international games. The commissioner is trying to get it to where there are more international games because we have the 17th game, which is kind of an off balance to the schedule because some people get to play an extra home game and others do not. And so it would even things out. I know there's talk of having the 18th game, but perhaps it gets pushed down the line a little further because of the kind of money they'll be able to bring in if every team plays an international game. They got the 3 in London, Tottenham Hotspur and Wembley Stadium. Okay. They played the 1 in Brazil. They got 1 in, I think it's, is it Munich or Frankfurt this year? It's one of the two. Okay. And so they're only putting up, I think it's 5 international games this year. But they have played, if they get approval, and with the more money that comes in, they'll get the approval because that's what this is all about. It's a business. The sport doesn't really matter. It matters to the fans. It may matter to the players on some level, but they're there to make money too. It's all about making a living. Everything is a business. But they have played a game in Monterrey, Mexico, a game in Mexico City. If they play those 2 games again and you add the 3 to London, that's 5. Brazil is 6. They're going to Spain next year. That's 7. If they go back to 2 in Germany, that's 9. I think that there's going to come a time when they're going to have a game in France. Okay, there are fields there that can do it. You know, the big soccer fields, and I know they always complain about the turf and it's wet and it's slick and it's different and everything. But if that brings in the money, then they'll do it. And I think that there is a chance that we're going to see some Canadian games because it's closer to home. They don't have to fly overseas to do it. And I think at a certain point in time, you know, of course, we're getting off the beaten track here of everything that's going on. I know that you want to talk about Dan Campbell's housing situation.
Yes.
So I don't really know much about that, so I'm going to let you go ahead.
I shared this a couple days ago when it was a rumor, and a couple people told me it was fake, never happened, and all that. Well, it turns out they had an article today that came out, and I guess one of the kids that went to school, possibly with Dan Campbell's daughter. I'm not sure how old the daughter is. I'm assuming she's probably 17, 18, since she was home by herself at their house, at their mansion out here in Oakland County, about maybe 15, 20 minutes down the road, and or maybe 30 minutes. But I guess the night we lost in San Francisco, one of the kids that went to her school that knew where she lived put on Snapchat, this fucking loser goes for it. Of course he fucking does. And then put his address in the same Snapchat, and the Snapchat went viral. So I guess as Dan Campbell's daughter and boyfriend were at his house while him and his wife were obviously in the Bay Area because they just got done with the game, a bunch of cars started showing up and people started showing up to his house. And thank God the daughter's boyfriend was pretty smart. Give him credit for this. He ran to his car and kept flicking his lights at people when they pulled up, scaring people off. But I guess numerous cars through the night showed up to the point where Dan Campbell had to advise his daughter to leave with her boyfriend and go stay the night at his house for safety. So now they've obviously got a new house, and he just put that house up for sale because somebody leaked his address just because we lost and didn't go to the Super Bowl. And I understand where people were mad that your team lost, and kid or not, high school or not. I mean, that's just ignorant and so wrong to do. And this is what I'm talking about. Detroit finally gets a coach that's changed this team identity, changed the culture, has turned this team into a winning team, and we're still winning. We're still going up. We're still as good as we were last year. And people want to show up and do this to a man. Why? This is one thing when it comes to sports. I understand we invest a lot more time than we should into this game sometimes. But even if you know where a player or a coach lives, there's no reason to go to their house, put their family in danger or anything like that. It's just completely wrong. And I can't speak of other states. I don't know how Kansas City is. I don't know how that works for other states. I do know one thing cool is around here is a lot of our players for our sports teams, they live among people. And when I mean among people, they live obviously in wealthier neighborhoods, but these ain't, some of these neighborhoods are just regular old street neighbors. Like, they're just neighbors. They're regular people.
And they live in communities.
And they're not, a lot of these that I personally know where some players live, for other sports, obviously, they're not gated. You could walk right up to their door.
Yeah.
But people around here, for the most part, have respected players. Like, I used to know somebody who worked at the Costco at Auburn Hills. They told me, they told me they would deal with the Pistons all the time when they played out there. All the players would come in there. No one would bug them, and they would treat everybody, sign autographs, do the whole 9 yards. So that's all I'm saying. It's just really irritating when you hear a story like that, because to me, you're just going to make these players not be cool anymore or want to even associate with you when you see them in public if shit like this keeps happening.
Yeah, and I just think that I think you're right when it comes to people, there's a certain expectation when you have, celebrity or whatever, and I think that it is important that people realize that, these celebrities are people too, okay? There's no reason to harass them or cause them, any kind of problems based on, you lost a game. I mean, it was one game.
Exactly.
And it wasn't even a championship game. It's just a regular season game.
Well, no, this wasn't the regular season game. This was after the championship game.
Oh, it was? Okay.
Yeah, it was after the 49ers game.
I thought this happened after the Tampa game. I'm like, wow.
Oh, it just came out like they kept it hush-hush.
Yeah.
I think they kept it hush-hush for reasons, because they didn't want the listing to come out and the story to come out before they moved out of the house, I'm assuming. And now that they're probably out into a new house and no one knows they're at now, now they're coming out with it. Ron says, this is because media hype stupid people can't just handle that football is just a game, but this is where gambling comes into play again. And when you lose real money, it's going to drive people mad, and they take it to another level. If you can't handle losing, don't gamble. 100%. That's like, his statement right there is 100% true, because I had a parlay bet on the Lions game. And even though I needed Jared Goff to hit 200, Montgomery to score anytime touchdown, and to get like 50 or 60 yards rushing. He covered, Goff covered, the Lions covered. The two people that didn't cover was the running back Connor.
Jameson Williams with his one catch. Wow.
No, I picked Connor to get at least 50 yards rushing. And I picked Murray to get at least 200 yards passing. And I think he did right there at the end. But James Conner was MIA because we shut the run down. So should I show up with hey, Dave, should I go to all the defenses' houses and be like, hey, man, you guys fucked me out of $100. You all suck. Like, you going to pay me?
Probably not a good idea.
Exactly. You know why? Because I'm happy I lost the money.
Well, listen.
We won the game.
Yeah, listen. Let's review week number 3 in the NFL. I didn't win anything this week either, so it's all right.
All right, guys. We got a poll question.
Oh, poll question. Yay!
I thought I could set it up as a poll. I don't see an option. I want to keep working this, but I want to put a banner of the question that scrolls across the bottom. So if you guys want to answer it, shoot the comments up and we'll put them on the screen.
Okay. And while he's doing that, let's review the Thursday night game. Oh, which 0-3 team can rebound to make the playoffs? Jacksonville or Tennessee or Cincinnati? Oh, let's get some comments and then I'll give you my take. Okay, so Aaron Rodgers looked pretty good against the New England defense on Thursday night. They ran the ball. Love Braylon Allen, the new running back who teams with Breece Hall. Alan Lazard is definitely the number 2 guy. I know they brought in Mike Williams, but I just don't think that he stays healthy enough to be the number 2 target. I think that Lazard with Aaron Jones, with Aaron Rodgers, they know each other from Green Bay. And so, he kind of favors him because he knows what kind of routes he's going to run in certain situations, if they have any option or choice routes. And so while Garrett Wilson will still be the number 1 receiver for the Jets, I think Alan Lazard's the clear number 2. I was really surprised to see Tyler Conklin. He did not get utilized very much last year. He got 6 catches in the game, had 6 all of last year. Okay, so there's another target maybe for your fantasy football teams. Jets run away with it on the Thursday night game against New England. We got to see Drake May briefly, but he was running for his life because at that point the Jets defense was teeing off. Based on what I've seen out of the Jets so far, I think they can compete for a wild card spot. I mean, they haven't been spectacular. They laid an egg early because they were tired against the 49ers. Kind of got lucky against Tennessee on the road. But, New England's not going to be that great this year. They managed to beat Cincinnati, and that's because Cincinnati flat sucks this season so far.
Yeah. We got Cincinnati.
Yeah, Cincinnati. Yeah. Well, I mean, hey.
And my dad's with Cincy, but he commented on my personal profile, so I can't put it on the screen for him.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, okay, so the 0-3 team that can rebound and make the playoffs, I'm sure nobody has any faith in Jacksonville after what happened against Buffalo, and we'll get to that. Tennessee, they just got to stop turning the ball over. Okay.
Yeah.
If they stop turning the ball over, they have a decent schedule. Maybe something can happen. Cincinnati, it just looks like they're kind of half-assing it right now. And we've seen them start 0-2 each of the last 2 years. This is the first time they've started 0-3. And teams that start 0-3 are 1-125 when it comes to making the playoffs. So, very slim chance any of these 3 are going to get in. I agree. I think Cincinnati's most likely, but I wouldn't count Jacksonville out just yet. I think they've got some hope. If they manage to get a victory this next week, that could really turn things around, and we'll talk about that here shortly. Denver over Tampa Bay is, I think, the biggest surprise.
I wanted to get my input on the Jets.
Oh, okay, sure.
No, this game was actually a shocker for me. I bet on the Patriots and totally lost my ass on it because I thought the defense would make it harder on the Jets offense because you've seen a couple good plays from the Jets offense in the first couple games, but not that much, really. But I can't talk nothing about that game. Jets, the game took care of business. But the Patriots, to me, I didn't catch the Drake May. How did he play? Did he look all right?
He looked like he was competent, but I mean, he didn't have an opportunity to really play for very long. I think he was 4 of 8, only like 30 yards passing. He ran a couple times. They sacked him a couple times. The game was long over by the time he got in, and they really wasn't even trying to run the football at that point.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Ron said you have
I don't
players.
think there's the word on the street is that he's getting closer to being the number one quarterback. No, he's not. If they put him in at the beginning against a weak opponent, he might have some success. But if they throw him in there to the wolves because he's a first-round pick, he's got to start right now, he's going to suffer from a bad offensive line. And, I just think that it's going to be a hindrance to him. He needs to sit behind Jacoby Brissett a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Rod says he was stunned how bad that the Patriots played. I agree.
I was. I thought I for sure took an easy bet that I should have covered.
So the Denver Broncos, this is the surprise to me. The Denver Broncos go on the road and beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 26-7. Tampa Bay looked lost out there. They looked like they were just going through the motions. I would say they overlooked Denver looking at next week's game that they'll be playing. And because Denver hadn't shown anything yet, their defense has played well, but Bo Nix actually threw some passes that were longer than 5 yards. They managed to run the football with authority. They got some turnovers. Denver goes into Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield looked ordinary in this game. He did not look like what he did against Detroit.
Yeah, I figured that's probably what it was. But also heard Bo Nix's post game, and he said him and the players beforehand they really wanted to win because they wanted to have a little party, and so it sounds like it could have been more. That's might what have happened with Denver Sunday is the players and the players themselves wanted that win probably more than anybody. And, the Buccaneers just didn't show up. I still think they'll be all right, but, you're not going to win them all. And hopefully this is building confidence for Bo Nix.
2-2-0 teams faced off in Pittsburgh. The Chargers on the road against the Steelers. And early on, it looked like, that the Chargers were going to, pull it out. But I think that Justin Fields is growing into this offense. We've seen him throw a dart to Calvin Austin for a 55-yard touchdown. They have weapons on this team. They just haven't really been utilizing them. Of course, the Steelers' defense is the Steelers' defense. They sacked Justin Herbert, and Herbert re-aggravated what sounded like a high ankle sprain. He did not return to the game. In came, I thought it was Easton Stick at first, but it was Tyler Heineke, the former commander and Atlanta Falcon. And he got the team to move the ball a little bit through their running game, but he just couldn't do anything in the passing game. The Steelers were, on an onslaught. And the Steelers are one of only, I believe it's 5 teams now that are at 3-0 in the NFL.
Yep. Saints, I thought they had it. But Philadelphia, man, they really came and got it. Or wait a minute, you're talking about Pittsburgh.
No, go ahead. Showcase this game, will you?
Okay. This game was pretty good. I watched most of it, a good chunk of it. Between the Eagles, I think I had a couple players in this game. Not sure if I did or not, but it looked like the Saints were going to win the game. And then while I was flipping between games because I was waiting for the game to obviously start at 4:00, I turned back and the Eagles won. I have to give credit was due because I thought the Eagles played majority of that game like shit. They didn't look good on any side of the ball. But right there, they got it together and they got the dub. More props to them. And
Philadelphia controlled this game almost the whole way, but trailed the majority of the game. And I thought that, it wasn't necessarily the Eagles' defense. It just felt like the creativity that the Saints' offense had the first couple of weeks was not there. They used a lot of Kamara. Kamara was still looking good, but there were no long passes to Rashid Shaheed. They had a couple of good intermediate passes to Chris Olave, but for the most part, the defense kept them in the game, and Philadelphia ended up snatching it away at the end. The defense just got tired for New Orleans. And I think that maybe New Orleans, and it's amazing to me because of where they've been the last couple of years, they read all of the great press they got from going into Dallas and beating Dallas, and they didn't focus on this particular game. They were resting on what they'd done already.
Mm-hmm. And I didn't mean exactly, I probably should have worded that better. Like, I didn't mean like the Philadelphia played like complete shit. It's just, to me, I don't know. It was just, to me, it was a shit game for them because it took them so long to score in that game.
Yep.
But I'll be honest, I was bouncing around all over. This Minnesota game, I didn't see this shit coming.
I tell you, I picked Houston to win the game. I thought that with the weapons that they had added, that they would really be good offensively. But as I mentioned in Picks with David, Houston hadn't played anybody. A weak, Chicago Bears offense, and it was a close game. And they played against a weak Indianapolis Colts team in Indianapolis. Minnesota was going to be their first real test of the year, and Minnesota already showed that they could play against a tough team by beating the 49ers the week before. And so although I went with Houston, my heart was with Minnesota. And when Sam Darnold just starts chucking it down the field and they run the ball with authority, this defense of Brian Flores, who is going to get another head coaching job opportunity this offseason, with what he's doing with the defense in Minnesota.
Yeah.
I mean, they lead the division. They're undefeated. And, they've got Green Bay coming up. Yes, we know that. But it's without Jordan Love probably, unless they rush Jordan Love back. And if they do that, I'm taking Minnesota. Jordan Love should not play until week 5. Okay? If I think that they can win the game, Sam Darnold has calmed down. He takes his time. He realizes he doesn't have to be the hero every play. Once again, like I said before in my Picks with David video, he's comfortable in this offense. He has a good supporting cast. If he doesn't make mistakes, they're going to win. And that's what happened. And I feel bad that I didn't pick them.
All dreams come to a short end of time. But I do have Minnesota possibly with the Lions making the playoffs. And Green Bay, possibly.
I think it's still too early to tell.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying officially. I said possibly.
Well, Caleb Williams finally threw his first couple of touchdowns. The first one to Roma Dunze. And then they proceeded to fight over who gets to keep the football because it was their first NFL touchdowns. And it's bullshit like that will get you beat on the road in Indianapolis. And that's pretty much what happened. The Bears have completely abandoned the running game. Devontae Swift, okay, who I thought was going to be the featured running back. They were going to get him on screens and draws, and he would be their guy, has disappeared from the offense. When they finally decide to run it on 3rd down and 2, they're giving it to Khalil Herbert, and half the time he can't pick up 2 yards.
Hey,
Indianapolis won this game because Chicago couldn't stop turning the ball over. I don't know how Chicago managed to lose this game, but they have to have a more balanced offense. Jonathan Taylor is keeping the Colts in all of the games with his running. Richardson, he makes a spectacular play, and then he costs them on the next play. Just a young quarterback struggling to find their identity. Both these teams kind of in the same mold, but at least the Colts have a balanced attack, both running and passing. That's all I got on this one, buddy.
Ron got to comment for this game. Bears are a hot fucking mess. That team needs to figure out if they have another first-round bust. It's too early to say that, but he's what I thought he's going to be so far. And I have to say, because it's kind of funny, and you know what? It's too early to say he's a bust. But I just want to point this out, since I didn't really get to put my input exactly what I wanted to say on the Steelers. But it's kind of funny. You see Justin Fields starting with a whole new team, a whole new system, a whole new everything, and he's sitting 3-0, and the Bears are sitting 1-2. And Caleb Williams is not looking that impressive.
Pittsburgh's not asking Justin Fields to do everything, whereas Chicago is. Okay,
100%.
Like I said, they're not running the football. But I will say this. He has improved every week, okay? He threw his first 2 touchdowns in the NFL in week 3 after not having thrown any, okay? The defense is still strong in Chicago, and while they're at 1-2, I still think they can turn things around if they continue to improve offensively. Add a few new wrinkles here and there, but they have got to get Swift and Herbert running the ball. Between Chicago and the Raiders, they're the worst 2 rushing teams in the NFL.
Yeah.
And, it's holding both teams back.
Well, I that's what they need to do, but it's not going to happen. Their offensive line can't block shit for the run. And guess what? All the Bear fans... And I think you even gave me some shit in the offseason a little bit when I was giving the Bears shit for signing Swift. All the Bear fans all offseason I seen talking about how they got Swift. There's a reason why this dude wasn't in Detroit. You seen it on Hard Knocks. The coach plainly on Hard Knocks looked at Swift. Why you run out of bounds? You could have lowered your shoulder and made it through him. That's the same thing. That's the problem why, guess what? Swift and the Eagles were predicted to go to the Super Bowl last year. Shit fell through at the end of the year. Why ain't he in Philadelphia anymore? He played on a good team. He had a solid.
I know why he's not in Philadelphia anymore. They signed Saquon Barkley.
And why did the Eagles choose to go spend way more money to do that than signing Swift?
Saquon Barkley is a better running back no matter what.
Because Swift did the same shit he did in Detroit that he did in Philly. And he's going to do the same stuff in Chicago. He's not the running back you need to run through the tackles. He's your back you throw the ball to and let him get in space.
And they're not doing that. They're not doing that either. So let's move on to Green Bay versus Tennessee. Tennessee is just continuing to turn the ball over too many times. Green Bay controlled this game throughout. It wasn't as close as the score would indicate. And Malik Willis is showing that maybe it was the Tennessee organization that was holding him back because he's not being asked to do everything. He does run around. They've got a better offensive line, of course, in Green Bay than they did in Tennessee. He's playing well, and Green Bay is surviving their lack of having Jordan Love right now, thanks to him.
Guess what? I'll give the kid props because when Jordan Love got hurt, I said on this broadcast after week 1, and what did I say, David?
They wasn't going to win another
that
game.
could kill the Packers season.
Yep.
And guess what?
They won
He's made my words not once but twice now.
Yeah.
And he played a solid game, and I don't think it was actually the Tennessee organization that held him back because he did say in the broadcast when they asked him the question, what's the difference how good he's playing now than when he was with Tennessee? And he plain and simple said, straight out of his mouth, no hesitation, I wasn't ready. And he left it as that. He didn't make it sound like it was more or not. To me, it sounds like the young kid took accountability and knew that he was the problem when he got the start and nod.
I find that interesting because, he was in Tennessee for a couple of years. And so there was plenty of time for him to absorb the knowledge of the offense that was there. He only had like a week and a half to get ready to be the Green Bay quarterback. When Jordan Love went down, hell, he hadn't been there for a week. And so
I think you have to look at it.
They signed him right at the end when, as cuts were being made, he got traded to Green Bay.
Yeah. No,
go ahead.
I'm thinking that it just took I'm thinking that Mike Vrabel was his coach at the time.
Vrabel,
and I'm just thinking that at the time he didn't understand his offense, the offense they were running.
Yeah. Well, and his job, and Matt LaFleur is still running strong in Green Bay. So,
yeah.
New York Giants. I couldn't believe this one. This one is another one that I just couldn't believe. I don't know how you did on Pick'ems this week. 6-10. I haven't had a week this bad, and I can't tell you how long. And this was another one. I was like, well, Cleveland's got a great defense, and they're playing in Cleveland. And, they woke up after they lost to Dallas in week 1, went on the road and beat Jacksonville. I didn't realize Jacksonville was going to be as bad as they've been. And so here you've got New York that they're playing tough. They are playing feisty. They should have won last week against Washington, but they lost their field goal kicker on the opening kickoff, Graham Gano. So they signed a new dude, 3 for 3 on the extra points. As far as Cleveland goes, I mean, just they don't have a spark. It just feels like they don't have a spark. They're not a strong-willed, mentally strong team with Deshaun Watson leading them. The running game has not been as good as what it has been in the past. Hopefully Nick Chubb will be available soon. I'm sure that he will be available as soon as week 5 comes along. They'll get him off of the physically unable to perform list because they need him to run the football. Jerome Ford is not, providing everything that they need. Dante Foreman is not doing the job. Cleveland looks like they're just lackadaisical.
Yeah.
Any comments on that one?
Which game was that one?
Cleveland and New York.
Yeah. I said it. I said it in the beginning. I was saying it last week, matter of fact. I think Deshaun Watson, man, I think Deshaun Watson is literally he's just a cancer at this point, I think, because it just don't seem like the team wants to play for him or he can't get it going. Something on those means. Because it's not getting any better, David. It just seems like it's getting worse and worse for him.
I agree.
Cleveland is bad with injuries on top of it. Shit QB, they're in trouble. Yeah, this is the first thing I said on this broadcast. I think when we talked about the contract, when we first started, is when he signed that big contract, and to me that was just crazy. You know,
Seattle and Miami. Basically, you got Miami traveling the longest distance from one team to another team's site. They didn't have Tua. Tua's been placed on IR. They're battling with the quarterbacks that they've got on the roster, and they're not good enough. So it just felt like Seattle was fighting against a toothless opponent, and that's what you got. If you don't have a quarterback that can get these speedy receivers the ball, you gang up on the run, double team the two outside guys because they don't really have a third receiver. You shut them down, and that's what Seattle did all day long. This was an easy victory for Seattle. They didn't force anything. They didn't risk anything. They just kind of went through the motions knowing, that they were going to win. The one huge play they had was a long pass to DK Metcalf. And once they got on top of Miami, they just kind of smooth sailed their way through the game.
Yeah. And now Miami, I don't know who the hell is going to be the quarterback because Skylar Thompson's hurt.
Well, they had Tim Boyle, your old buddy from Detroit, was there, and he's the third guy. Now they signed Tyler Heineke, or not Heineke. It's Tyler Huntley off of the Baltimore Ravens practice squad. And so now if he's got any kind of part of the system in his mind, he'll probably be the starter for this next upcoming game. Because at least he is an adequate backup. He just happened to be, on some teams that had players that were better than him in front of him. Well, he ain't got nobody better than him in front of him at Miami, at least until Tua comes back.
Exactly. And that's if Tua can stay healthy for the rest of the season.
Then we've got another huge surprise here. And I think this is both a referendum on Bryce Young and a referendum on the organization. You bring in Andy Dalton to start for the Carolina Panthers. He's been with the team since last year. And so he's been sitting behind Bryce Young. He's a veteran, seasoned quarterback. And Andy Dalton gets a victory this season before Joe Burrow does. Both of them, both present and former Cincinnati Bengals starters.
Yeah.
And I just think that the Raiders, they can't run the football. And without a balanced attack, Carolina has had a decent defense. Even with the loss of trading Brian Burns away this offseason to the Giants, they've had a decent defense. And the Raiders, even playing at home, I don't think they got the horses to compete against teams that are willing to bust them in the mouth. The Raiders always talk tough till they get punched in the mouth, and then they go away. And that's basically what happened in this game. Carolina went right down the field with a touchdown, went right down the field with a touchdown. It was 14-0 before you knew it. They're looking around for answers, and they're like, well, but I thought Carolina wasn't any good. Like they were just going to walk over them.
Yeah, the thing is, Carolina is not playing with the same quarterback. Andy Dalton has experience. The Carolina Panthers do have good players on their team. It's just
Bryce
Young has got thrown in there.
Yep.
He's got thrown in there, and he's got battled, which I'll give him big props. Big props tonight. And why I say that, is because I don't know if you guys caught it, but at the end of the game, Young sat there on the bench and or not on the bench, but stood there as the players are walking off the field. he gave fives to every player that walked off that field. And I thought that was something to see, kind of, because at first they showed him on the sideline and he looked like he was just sitting there pissed off. Rumors have been floating around that he's okay with the trade out of Carolina. And then I seen that and I'm like, that's just probably bullshit rumors, because this dude, he either wants out but still trying to be a good teammate. Who knows? But to me, that was a lot of respect he got from me. Yes, seen that clip. And the Raiders, they need a quarterback. And they don't have a quarterback in that system. There's a lot of rumors.
They need an offensive line. They need to run the football. I got Zamir White. I got Zamir White in almost all my leagues because Josh Jacobs is finally gone. Zamir White ran for 100 yards in 3 consecutive games at the end of the year last year. I don't think he's got 100 yards combined after 3 games.
No, because he was only getting those yards because of Jacobs.
Jacobs was gone. Jacobs was gone. He was the starter the last 3 games because Jacobs was hurt. And so he goes in there and he played well, but they lost Jermaine Numenor or whatever his name is. The left tackle went to the Giants, and they lost, I think it was the right guard, and he went to another team. And so they don't have the same offensive line. They're playing under a new offensive coordinator. And it's the former Chicago Bears offensive coordinator, Getsy. And so, he ran the ball no problem in Chicago. They just could never pass it. And so now it's kind of the opposite. They're trying to pass it every down, and they've got some good weapons. But when you don't have time to get rid of the ball, they need to change their philosophy a little bit. Get rid of the ball faster. Get it out of Minshew's hands now. Don't hold the ball. You're going to get killed. And they need to run some draws and some screens to keep the pass rush off of them and include the running backs.
See, here's the thing, too, is I know the Raiders are in trouble. They might be sellers here, and I know the radio. I was listening to the radio, and they were talking, and all of our sport networks, they're hoping that's what happens. They're hoping that the Raiders suck so bad that they might be willing to ship away Crosby, possibly to Detroit, because I don't know because now since we're on the Detroit game, Marcus Davenport hurt his elbow, and they were hoping that it was only going to be a few weeks, but turns out he's done for the season. He finished the game on basically one arm, but he's not going to be able to play. I still think we're okay. We got James Houston. We got Kaminsky. I still think we might either try to sign somebody. But like the radio host was saying, is if Vegas keeps going down and slipping down and keep losing here, and if they become sellers, they made a good point. If the Lions are serious about Super Bowl or bust, cash in some of those draft picks and go try to get Crosby, because he has said out of his own mouth if he can't play with the Raiders, there's only one place in the league he would want to play, and that would be back home in Michigan. So, but we all know how that goes. That'll be a blockbuster trade, so I'm not holding my breath for it. It would be awesome, but I'm not going to hold my breath because I understand how hard it is to take a part of somebody's core, which they had planned to be the core, and take it from them. It's usually not the easiest trade to pull off, and it will cost a lot.
He's one of the faces of the franchise.
Exactly. So if we would at least have to send him 3 first, easy.
No,
maybe not.
Happening. That ain't happening.
Well, it depends. If they can make it where they don't have to
nobody in their right mind is sending 3 first-round draft picks for a pass rusher. He's not a quarterback. He's not a starting quarterback. Yeah, that shit ain't happening. You come up with these crazy things sometimes, and it drives me nuts.
Hey, I'm not talking crazy. This is what they were talking. This is what pay professionals were talking that the price could be because he's a face of the franchise, David.
Okay.
I'm going off of input. I don't want to give two. I wouldn't give 3 first picks away. I might maybe two, but you know how teams in this league view their face of their franchises. And honestly, who the hell does Raiders have on their team that probably sells more tickets and jerseys right now?
That's
Probably
true.
not. Probably not
And
many.
Devontae Adams has already mentioned that he'd like to get out of there, and he wants to go to New York and play with Aaron Rodgers again.
Oh, for sure.
We'll see. I mean, it may be too early to say this could have been just a letdown here against Carolina. They weren't prepared, for the kind of emotional uplift they were going to get from having Andy Dalton start. They went on the road and they did manage to beat Baltimore. Let's see what happens in the next up-and-coming games before we write them off for the season.
Same here. Like I said, I'm not holding my breath. I just brought it up. That's just what they were talking about today, this morning. But breaking down the Lions went into Arizona, and we pretty much dominated this game, I felt, through and through. Murray did connect with a nice pass with Marvin Harrison Jr. That was pretty good to see the rookie get his first receiving touchdown. But other than that, they didn't really have a run game. Murray wasn't really able to run around. He moved around in the pocket and made a couple of big throws against us, but not much. And pretty much ran for his life pretty much all afternoon. And
Ron is so happy about how much blue there was in the stands. His New Mexico Lions group went out there and they were sending him videos. I guess he didn't go with them, but I've seen some stuff online, and it was the Detroit Lions were playing at home in Glendale this week.
Yeah, we took over a lot of stadiums last year, and it's just showing for anybody we play on the road. Be ready because you will have Detroit natives in your stadium. They're flocking to any game they can get them on. And the crazy thing is some fans called in here this week to the same radio show I was just telling you that I was listening to them about last week. And they're like, fuck, it's cheaper for me to fly to Arizona to go see a game than it is to go to Ford Field because the average ticket price was $94 in Arizona. And a ticket to see a regular Sunday game here, I've seen David as high as $500.
Yeah,
and that's for the upper section. That's just one ticket.
Well, when the going's good, that's what they do. You should. I've thought about going to see a Kansas City Chiefs game for the last 3 years. Ain't no goddamn way. Ain't no goddamn way. You go, you get online, you look for a decent ticket. I wouldn't care if I was in an upper section. I ain't paying $300 a pop for them. I ain't paying $300, $400, $500, $600, $700 a ticket. It's crazy.
It is really insane.
I will enjoy myself in my chair watching it on TV, and that's why the salary cap is as high as it is, because they're getting all that money from the TV.
Yeah, and the sad thing is it's fans selling that ticket because they know it's worth to them. And then you got Ticketmaster taking $50 transaction fucking fees if you buy the damn ticket. It's like I just spent $500. Do I really got to pay you $50 to
try
send me a
SeatGeek
ticket
or
to
StubHub? Go to SeatGeek or StubHub.
I don't go to many Lions games for this reason.
Yeah.
Because of the money. I have made it to the stadium every year in the last 3 years. Either one was a preseason game, one was a regular season game, and then I was at the watch party for the conference championship game. So I plan to try to get myself in the stadium at some point, but I ain't going to go broke to do it. If I have to watch it from home with a couple buddies, that's fine with me.
Well,
this
so
game
we
was
get
a surprising game.
this one here. Yeah, this one was a surprise. San Francisco had control of this game almost the entire day. Jawan Jennings showed out in the absence of Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey. They still ran the ball decently with Jordan Mason, but it was just a matter of time before you allowed the Rams offense to come alive, and they did, and the 49ers couldn't convert. And because they couldn't convert, the Rams went down, tied the game, come back, score at the end to win it. And and that was without Cooper Kupp. That's without Puka Nacua, And so both teams have been injured and hurt, but the Rams and the 49ers have been such a tightly contested matchup over the last several years. The 49ers have had their number a lot. And then the Rams kind of, got it back there when they went to the Super Bowl. And now it's been the 49ers again. Well, this time the Rams had their number. And so maybe the tide has turned again. And amazingly enough, the 49ers start the season 1-2. Yeah.
It's nice because
both teams are 1-2.
Yeah.
And
the Lions, for being a Lion fan like Ron, I was happy to see San Francisco lose because I figured that would be the number one team we would have to beat out for the number one seed. I still think they could be there. And now, obviously, there's still some hard work we're going to have to do between Green Bay and Minnesota in our division too. So, I mean, that was a big win for us Lion fans. Now we need Green Bay and Minnesota to possibly beat the shit out of all their stars and hurt everybody. Not hurt everybody, but beat the shit out of them. Do something. No, I'm just joking.
No, you're not. Don't lie. You want to see everybody get injured, so you have a cakewalk. You need a cakewalk.
I don't want a cakewalk. We had pretty much a cakewalk last year, so I'll take it. I'm honestly happy that the division wasn't such a cakewalk. It does make it pretty entertaining now, more entertaining, because like last year when we lost the one game to the Bears, that literally pissed me off because I'm like, that was a give me game, you know what I mean? And then Green Bay, we got both of the game. We went 1-2 with them, So this year This year, I don't know who's going to win the division. I still think Detroit pulls it out, but.
Well, let's knock out the rest of these last week games. Baltimore goes into Dallas, and Dallas had gotten creamed by the Saints. Baltimore let the Raiders beat them in Baltimore, so both these teams had a lot to play for, and the score is no indication of how bad Baltimore beat up on Dallas.
Yep.
Dallas managed to come back a lot of garbage yards, some garbage late. They got the onside kick, which never happens. And Baltimore tried to give this game back to Dallas. But in the end, Derrick Henry finally showed that he could be the kind of runner that they wanted him to be. But all of his big runs were not out of the shotgun. They were all out of Lamar Jackson being under center and him handing it to him when he had a head of steam. He cannot run out of the shotgun formation. And so, I don't know if that's going to help or hinder them later when it comes to play action and Lamar Jackson and, because I would run blitz the shit out of this team. I would just immediately go towards the quarterback handing the ball off every time when he lines up under center. Okay. Yeah. And if he hands the ball off, you kill Derrick Henry in the backfield. And if he doesn't hand the ball off, you don't have to chase Lamar Jackson all over hell and gone because he's right there for you. And so, that's my answer to the Baltimore Raven offense. Run blitz the shit out of them. And, that'll slow them down in a big hurry. they'll have to go back to the shotgun formation, in which case Justice Hill's the only running back that can run out of the shotgun. And you'll have to start playing coverage again because Lamar's in shotgun formation. So Dallas is looking like about what I thought Dallas would. I didn't have them making the playoffs this year. This is their year, every year. We're all in, and then they did nothing all offseason. Let's bring Zeke back. Big help that does when you're starting Rico Dowdle at running back. And they're not giving Deuce Vaughn any running attempts.
Hey, you remember when I broke it down earlier and explained it that there's some real teams that build winning between like Detroit and KC and other teams that just keep big stars to sell tickets and merchandise and make a lot of money?
Yep, and that's
ding, 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 ding. Yep. I also will stick up for Jerry Jones a little bit. They're getting a lot of feedback because he supposedly told the team that he couldn't sign. He didn't. They didn't have enough money to sign Eric Henry. And then people are like, "That's bullshit." They're saying it's not true. Have you checked for those people? Have you checked to see how much money Dak just signed for? And CeeDee Lamb to get there?
He would not have been able to sign CeeDee Lamb or also sign Dak Prescott to their extensions if he had signed Derrick Henry. That's why Derrick Henry is not a Cowboy.
And guess what? So stop talking shit on Jerry on that matter. But once you talk shit to your starter quarterback that obviously does not care about winning Super Bowls, because every time he gets a chance, he's just, I need the most money in the league. I'm the best QB. Every time. And now
sounds like he's a wrestler in a promo.
If you hear him say,
I don't ever hear him say any of those things. His promotional people say those things, and his representatives say those things behind closed doors, and then we hear about it on social media. I've never heard him say, I'm the best quarterback in the NFL, and I want $60 million. That was all his representatives, and you know what? He may not be the best quarterback in the NFL, but he got the $60 million.
I understand that, and I understand he personally might not have said that. I'm not saying he said that, David.
Okay.
But what I am saying is, when you know what the hell your agents are saying behind those closed doors, and you sit back and you're okay with it, that's telling me you think it, and you're okay with
their job.
With taking
that's
the money.
Their job to say
I understand that, but to me, if you're a real football player and you really care about the team you play for, you're gonna make your money, David. But you're gonna do what Patrick Mahomes has done. You're gonna make it where you get your money over a long period of time, but you got all that wiggle room. If you need to, you can make something work. Because KC, of anybody that gave a big contract to the quarterback like this, KC's the only team that hasn't came back and bit him in the fucking ass.
Once again, his priorities are different than other people because his priorities are the same as the team. Make it look like you're going all in to win, but it's a business and it's all about the bottom dollar. I don't think Dak really cares if he wins a Super Bowl. He is the face of a franchise that is America's team. Everybody knows the Dallas Cowboys, and you either hate them or you love them. Either way, it doesn't matter because he's getting paid. Patrick Mahomes, on the other hand, has his priorities set in a different way because of his investments and his off-the-field money that he's able to make through commercials and owning pieces of sports franchises and all the other things that he has involved. He doesn't need to make the top dollar.
Yeah.
It's nice, and it is a boon or a feather in his cap, if you will, when he is the number one guy. And he was re-signed and became the number one guy till this offseason.
Yeah.
And then all these other guys passed him up again, but he gets his stuff changed to signing bonuses. The other players on the team do that. They're all in on being a champion there, okay? Whereas some people are not all in on being champions. Some people are wide receivers in Miami.
We got Earl Jackson in the house on my personal profile. He says he hopes Dallas loses to the Giants on Thursday Night Football. That would be priceless, bud.
We'll get to that in a minute. Let's skip to the next few games here. Kansas City eked it out over Atlanta just as I thought. They got Atlanta's best shot. Justin Simmons has intercepted Patrick Mahomes in 4 straight games, this time with Atlanta after being previously with the Denver Broncos. So he kind of knows what he's doing. He knows how to watch his eyes right. I thought Kirk Cousins played okay. I did not think that they ran the ball very effectively against that Kansas City defense. And the defense really is what won them the game. The high-powered offense that we were expecting to see from Kansas City has not come, full up in front yet because Marquise Brown is on IR. And we don't know if he'll be back this season. Carson Steele and Samaj P. Ryan did a decent job running the ball in place of Isaiah Pacheco. But Xavier Worthy's kind of a gadget guy. The main target is Rashee Rice in his second year in the system. They brought back Juju Smith-Schuster. He had a touchdown in the game. And it just feels like every time Travis Kelce gets a long play, holding offense, and so he doesn't get credit for the plays that he does make or the plays that he's helping to set up by going this way while Rice goes that way and Rice catches the long pass. Everybody wants, Kelce's washed up. He's not focused on football. He's doing the job he's been outlaid to do. He'll get his catches eventually. We're only in the 3rd game of the season, and the offense has been tailored to change a little bit because if you do the same thing year after year, they will catch up to you as far as what plays you might be running, and the defense will catch on to that, and that's when you have turnovers. You have, receivers getting jammed really hard, when they catch the ball because they knew where they were going. And so they're keeping their players safe. They're showing off a lot of new and different plays. They're taking these teams' best shots. They're still 3-0. I still like Atlanta, and I think Atlanta is going to give New Orleans all it can handle this week.
Yeah, a solid game. I passed out towards the end of the 3rd quarter, so I didn't catch the last quarter. But from what I watched, the game was a pretty solid game. Atlanta looked decent, and I think they will be around for a playoff spot
Monday night doubleheader. And I recommend to anybody out there, okay, Monday night doubleheader, I used the YouTube TV multi-view and watched both games at the same time. That was fun. I could just go back and forth. It's hard to watch both games unless you want to flip back and forth. But if you get the YouTube TV package, then you're able to watch both the games in multi-view, kind of like you do on the Sunday ticket. I don't know if you have to have the Sunday ticket to do that or not, but, they let you do that. Buffalo just ran all over, Jacksonville. Everybody was getting open. Everybody was making big plays. Jacksonville didn't look like they were prepared, to face against Buffalo. I think Buffalo might be the best team in the AFC right now. But, okay, it could also be that the teams that they're playing are not that good. And a lot of people were thinking that Buffalo was going to have a down year this year, so they've been overlooking them a little bit. And I think that could be part of, why they're able to do what they have done. Remember, Arizona had Buffalo on the ropes in week number 1. Week 2, they walked all over Miami, and then especially after they lost Tua. Now you've got a team that, is still trying to find its passing identity. I think that the overall team confidence kind of, the whole team, the air went out of the team when Travis Etienne fumbled the ball against Miami the opening week of the year. They had Miami beat on the road in Miami. He fumbled that away, and on the next play, Tyreek Hill, 80 yards for a touchdown, and Jacksonville hasn't looked good since.
Yeah.
I think that they've got a lot to work on. It's not going to get any easier as they got to face Houston next. And unfortunately, as good a coach as I think Doug Peterson is, I think if this trend continues and Jacksonville doesn't start doing something, Peterson's going to be on the hot seat.
Yeah, I agree. I would say this, though, Buffalo's making me believe just a little bit. It's starting to make me believe. I told you they had no chance at a playoff spot this year, and as of right now, I'm fully almost committed to saying they'll be in the playoffs.
I still had them winning the division, and I think it was just like I said. I think what's happened to Buffalo is what I thought was going to happen to Jacksonville. Sometimes you have to take a step back in order to take a step forward. They get rid of Stephon Diggs, and now the offense just opens up, and they, are killing people.
And they got no one in the locker room
in the NFL right now, in my opinion.
And they got no cancer in the locker room because I don't care what Diggs says anymore. Diggs can say, "Oh, me and Josh are cool." It wasn't like the media made it sound. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Because you guys together last year did not even play this good of football in a 3-game stretch last season. You gone when everybody thinking that Buffalo's going to take a way step back, and they've went 3-0.
Washington versus Cincinnati. Cincinnati's in trouble. Okay, the first thing is that they don't have Joe Mixon anymore, so they can't control the time of possession, run the football, keep the ball out of the other team's hands, and give their defense a chance to rest. Instead, they're happy to throw and throw and throw. The defense doesn't get a chance to rest, and the defense isn't stopping anybody. And Washington, with Jaden Daniels, they look like they were going through straight hot butter the first few drives of that game. Neither team turned the ball over. Neither team punted. Okay. It was a missed field goal, a missed 2-point conversion, and a turnover, not a turnover, but just ran out of time at the end of the game for Cincinnati. And Washington, I'm not sure how good their defense is, but the offense sure looked damn good last night, Chris.
Yeah. Washington, Jalen Daniels, they played a hell of a game. I can't say they didn't. That whole game shocked me.
I would like that a lot, Ron, because neither team has won a Super Bowl. We'd have a brand new champion. I feel a little down about the Chiefs not making it, but Buffalo versus Detroit would be awesome. What a great game that would be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, so there's our breakdown of week number 3. Let's go to the preview for week number 4.
Our last segment of the show. Let's get it going. This is probably one of our longest shows in a while, David.
Do what?
It's probably one of our longer shows.
Yeah, it's okay.
Oh,
it's a little long. It's a little longer than I wanted it to be, but that's all right. We've got a lot of good things to talk about. So,
hey, is it just me, or is it fucking crazy that it seems it took so long for this damn season to start, and now we're already talking about week 4?
That's all right. You know what? Time flies when you're having fun, and we wasn't having fun in the off season, and now we're having fun. The 1-2 Dallas Cowboys at the 1-2 New York Giants on Thursday Night Football. The Giants, of course, are coming off of a victory. their first of the season. The Cowboys haven't won since opening day against Cleveland. The Cowboys just have had the Giants' number. I'm not going to pick against the Giants in this game. Or against the Cowboys this game. I know it's a short week, but once again, I think that they were kind of embarrassed. 2 weeks in a row, they got a rebound because there's a lot of people's jobs at stake in Dallas, man, and they can't afford to lose to the Giants on the road here. I'll take Dallas.
I'm going to take the Giants. Got nothing to lose.
Go ahead. You got more?
Oh, no. I'm just going to take the Giants because Giants are coming off a win. They're at home. Maybe possibly they stunned Dallas. Maybe they found their connection of offense.
I would laugh. I would laugh at Dallas if they lost at the Giants. I mean, I was not surprised that they lost to Baltimore, even though I thought they would get the win. I was stunned they lost to the Saints because the Saints looked so good the first 2 weeks. But now the Saints have to play at the Falcons. The Falcons are coming off a very close loss, to the Chiefs. They managed to beat Philadelphia in Philadelphia the week before. They're going to be on a full week's rest this time, and they've got a familiar opponent in the New Orleans Saints coming to town. But the Saints have a new offense this year under Clint Kubiak. The Falcons, I think that they are going to try to establish the run in this game. I think that they are going to try to get the ball more to Pitts, who has not been utilized a lot. But Drake London is really coming along. And once again, just like I said on my Picks with Dave video, Darnell Mooney is a factor in this game. But they got to protect Kirk Cousins. You're going to see Cameron Jordan. You're going to see more pass rushing coming. Look out for Chase Young. I'm going to go with my heart here. I'm taking the New Orleans Saints to beat Atlanta in Atlanta.
I'm going with the Falcons.
Here's an interesting matchup, Chris. Former Cincinnati franchise quarterback Andy Dalton hosts his former team and Joe Burrow. The Cincinnati Bengals at 0-3 go to the 1-2 Panthers. Can Andy Dalton and the Panthers beat the Bengals? Would that end the Bengals season? Would that be like, oh my God, they're 0-4. The Panthers would go to 2-2. Washington beat Cincinnati in Cincinnati. Okay. This is a tough one here. I just don't see there's any way Cincinnati goes over.
I ain't fucking picking it.
Yeah. I'm taking Cincinnati.
I'm taking Cincinnati too, but
excuse me.
I'm not showing up for the show if we're wrong on that pick. You guys just have to look at a black screen. I'll let my dog in. She might give you.
I'll make a pre-recorded video, and Picks with David will be early. So, listen, Caleb Williams has been getting better every week, but they're playing against the Rams, who I think their pass rush can get to him. Their secondary is a little suspect in LA. I think the Rams should win this game. Will they win it? I don't know. The Bears, please run the football. The Rams, we know you can run the ball, but against that Bear defense, is it going to be a rough go? Is it going to be tough sledding? I don't think the Bears can beat the Rams. I'm going to take the Rams in the matchup.
I'm taking the Rams.
I'm taking the Vikings. Vikings are going to somehow start 4-0, which is a surprise to me. I don't think we're going to see Jordan Love. I think they're going to stick with Malik Willis. They're going to let the timetable go through like it should with Love. We're going to see plenty of running game from the Packers to try to keep the Vikings offense off the field. But when they get on the field, they're going to make plays. The offensive line's protecting Darnold. Aaron Jones knows the Packers, so he's going to fill them with plenty of little tidbits about what to look for. And these guys are division opponents. They know each other very well. I like the Vikings to win here.
See, to me, I think the Packers could upset the Vikings because the Packers' defense, but then I look at how the defense of Minnesota's been playing and Malik Willis. So I'm going to go with 50-50. I just need one of these teams to lose, preferably Minnesota, because they already have 3 wins. So I'm going to lean towards the Green Bay way, but I'm not going to be surprised, and I'm not going to sit here and say Minnesota has no chance to win this game because they've been playing excellent football. I hate to say that, but it's God honest truth.
Okay, so just for fun here, okay, Packers are 2-1, Vikings are 3-0. Jordan Love's going to come back and be the quarterback of the Packers probably after this game. Which team, the 3-0 Vikings and the 2-1 Packers, do you think is more likely to falter down the stretch to allow your Detroit Lions to take the division? Which team is more likely to falter down the stretch? Because that's the team you want to root for to lose or to win.
Probably Minnesota.
Okay. So in that case, you should want the Vikings to win this game because you expect them to falter down the stretch and you know the Packers are not. So if they lose now, it'll be more beneficial to you later.
Yeah. So I'm kind of leaning into that because, Minnesota who's Minnesota started the season against? Was so far?
We beat the Giants on the road. Then we beat the 49ers, and then we beat Houston, both in Minnesota.
Excuse me. You said who was the
Giants on the road in New York, then 49ers, then Houston.
Okay.
The Packers lost to the Eagles, and then they beat, I think it was Indianapolis and then Tennessee.
Yeah, so the first 2 real tests that Minnesota got, and I think, honestly, with Sam Darnold, probably should have lost those first 2 games. Or the second 2, sorry. I think
blew them both out.
Well, now they did. But I'm talking about as going into those weeks.
Oh.
Did you honestly think Minnesota was going to beat the 49ers?
No.
Did you think they were going to beat the Texans?
No, I wanted them to, but I picked Houston and picks with David.
That's what I'm saying. The 2 real tests they got didn't show up to the game. So
you're claiming it was the other team's fault that the Vikings won.
I do. Well, I think if the 49ers showed up, I think they could have easily won that game. Not saying that it would have been a blown out or anything, but if you're going off of last year, what they did last year, you would have had the 49ers winning that game. And then the Texans are good, but they've kind of let me down because they haven't shown me they're as good as I thought they were going to be.
The Texans have played against one quality opponent, and it was the Vikings, and they got slaughtered in Minnesota. Now they got Jacksonville coming to town, and Jacksonville has not looked good since about halftime of week number 1. They've lost at home to Cleveland. They've lost on the road, to Buffalo, badly beaten there. And so, it's a short week for them because they're coming up a Monday Night Football. They're playing on the road in Houston. Now, they know each other very well. Jacksonville actually does pretty good against the Houston Texans. But I just think that because the Texans were embarrassed, both these teams were embarrassed. But at least the Texans are 2-1. So they have some confidence going into the game. I have to take Houston in the matchup.
I'm taking Houston.
Pittsburgh Steelers should win on defense alone against the Indianapolis Colts. I think Anthony Richardson will be under siege throughout the game. If Caleb Williams can throw 2 touchdowns against the Colts, I think Justin Fields can both throw for 2 and rush for 1. I think the Steelers actually break across the 25-point threshold there this season and get at least 4 scores in this game, I'll take the Steelers over the Colts.
I'll go with the Steelers. Ron Gott's the Colts.
That's all right. Broncos looked impressive against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who didn't look like they came to play at all. The Jets overpowered the New England Patriots on Thursday Night Football. And, of course, the Jets had an extra few days because they played the Thursday night game. I'll take the Jets at home against Denver.
I'm going to lean to the Jets at home, too, just because they're – actually, no. I'm going to go with the Broncos.
Another thing in that game, don't forget, Sean Payton talked shit last year about Nate Hackett, the offensive coordinator, and, that still hasn't been forgotten. So, okay, Philadelphia Eagles at 2-1 go on to face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 2-1 also. And this was a playoff game last year. Tampa Bay beat Philadelphia after the Eagles won in the regular season. And the Tampa went on to play against the Lions in a close game in the playoffs. And so you got a new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. I think that I just have more faith in the Philadelphia Eagles. They beat the Saints. They beat the Packers. And they lost a game they should not have lost to the Falcons. I don't see them, letting off the gas defensively against Tampa Bay in the second half. I think the Eagles go on the road and win.
I'm going to go with the Eagles, too.
Commanders at the Cardinals. This is a really good one here. I'm really looking forward to this game because the Cardinals are a scrappy team. Right. Their defense can't stop anybody. The Commanders, scrappy and a really good offense. Their defense can't stop anybody. But it's on the road at Arizona. Who do I trust more? Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison with James Conner, or Jaden Daniels with Brian Robinson and Terry McLaurin? I'm taking the Commanders to win the game. I think he just keeps getting better and better every week.
I'm going to go with the Cardinals just because they're home, but I wouldn't be surprised either.
If the 49ers do not blow out the New England Patriots, I'll be stunned. Okay? The Patriots have a few extra days to prepare, and, I think the 49ers don't want to slip away from the Rams, but I think they're playing at home. New England's got to come all the way across from East Coast to West Coast, and I think the 49ers defense is going to come alive in this game. I expect the New England will slow down the Niners a little bit offensively, but the overall better team is the 49ers, and so they're going to win.
49ers.
This is a close one here.
Yep.
I'm taking the Chargers. And the reason why is because this is the chance. The Chargers are playing at home. Kansas City is notorious for playing against the Chargers close. They have faced everybody's best shot. This is the Chargers Super Bowl, okay? And they just lost on the road to Pittsburgh. It's their first loss of the season. So Harbaugh is going to have them all ramped up. He's going to show them, look, the Chiefs won because of a penalty. Look, the Chiefs won because of a non-call. Look, the Chiefs won because of a toe on the out-of-bounds thing. This is how close they are to losing. We have the ability to win this game. We're going to do it. We're playing at home. Oh, that's right. Justin Herbert's got a high ankle sprain. I'll take Kansas City Chiefs to win the game.
I'm going to take the Chargers.
Even though I just told you that Justin Herbert's not playing. Okay.
Oh, Justin Herbert's not playing for sure?
You did not listen to anything I just said, did you?
No, I heard you. I heard you.
Okay.
I just didn't know Chargers. I just didn't know he's not playing. Well, if he's
Justin
not playing,
Herbert has a high ankle sprain, which means he's probably not going to play in this game. And if he does, it won't be for long because he can't protect himself. He doesn't have the athletic ability to scramble like Mahomes did when he had a high ankle sprain. And they've got some new offensive line pieces. While I really like Alt, he allowed TJ Watt to get to Herbert last week, and that's why he's out. And so now you're going to have George Karlaftis, Chris Jones. They're all going to take their turns in this game. I think this is a chance playing on the turf there at SoFi Stadium. We're going to see some of that speed from Xavier Worthy. The Chiefs will run the ball to keep a balanced offense, but I think Chiefs win this one and win it easily.
if Justin Herbert really doesn't play, I'll take the KC. But if he turns on and plays, I think the Chargers could pull it off just because they're going to play Michigan football and they're just going to keep running down your throat until your defense is too tired.
Browns at Raiders. Both teams 1-2. Both teams have been inconsistent. I'm going to take the Raiders in this game.
I'm going to take the Raiders too, but hopefully the Browns wake up and take another one from the Raiders. Why not? Keep the rumors a little bit alive.
Buffalo Bills at 3-0 take on the 1-2 Baltimore Ravens. Now, the Ravens went on the road to play against the Dallas Cowboys. They got their offense back. They got their defense, back in a groove a little bit. Buffalo exploded on Jacksonville. I think they're going to be riding high. I think they think that if they can knock off the Ravens and take them to 1-3, they're going to put the rest of the league on notice because the Ravens are not Jacksonville. But I think the Ravens are going to have something for Buffalo. And so I'm going to take Baltimore in the game.
I'm going to take the Bills just because I've took the Ravens, I think, almost every week, and they've only got one win. So I'm riding with the Bills until the Ravens show me that they can come out firing at the gates. Because I'm telling you, from the 3 games I've seen of Buffalo, there hasn't been a game when I've sat here and thought that they're just getting lucky on who they're playing. Allen's been making smart decisions. The running game's been helping. The passing game's been on. And the defenses look good. So, to me, if the Ravens are going to win this game, they're going to have to come out the gate. They're going to have to play hard. Because if they don't, they can let another game just slide away. So, right now, I'm riding with the Bills.
Okay. 0-3 Titans at 1-2 Dolphins. I expect Tyler Huntley to be quarterbacking for Miami in this game. I think that he will play, what do I want to call it? Game manager. He'll get the ball to his receivers. There'll be smoke screens. A lot of running game out of the Dolphins on Sunday. I'm going to take the Dolphins because Tennessee can't stop turning the ball over. I'm sorry, this is part of the Monday night doubleheader again. Tennessee and Miami. We're going to start on, I believe, it's going to be on ESPN, and then Seattle and Detroit will be on ABC. And so this will be the clunker. The Tennessee-Miami game will be a slugfest clunker, and the Dolphins will win. And then Miami and Seattle will be a slugfest, and Detroit will win it on the end at the field goal.
Yeah. I got Miami winning that game, and I'm going to take the Lions.
And that's all I got. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us for another edition here of the 4th and Goal podcast. I really appreciate Chris for hosting this thing and inviting me in here so I could run my mouth and give him a hard time. And looking forward to another great set of games here this weekend. Thanks again. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube, on Spotify, Twitch. What other shit we got, Chris? Tell them all about it.
YouTube, Facebook, Fourth and Goal Sports.
Ron's picking the Seahawks?
Fourth and Goal Sports on Facebook. You also can go to, obviously, Christopher Sarah Jr. profile. You can follow me there, too. We shoot the video goes there as well on my personal page. David shares the broadcast to his personal page. So if you got us on Facebook, like Fourth and Goal Sports, the link is in the top of the post on Facebook. If you're watching on Facebook, click it. That will take you to our Spotify. Click follow. And then every Wednesday at midnight, this episode will drop on Spotify. So that way, if something happens, you listen to us, can't make it, don't worry. You can listen to us tomorrow while you're at work or anywhere, anytime.
Thank y'all for joining us. We'll see you again next Tuesday for another Tuesday Night Spectacular. Check out Picks with David on my page. Also, I posted on NFL Renegades Thursday for the Thursday game and then Sunday for the weekend games.
We haven't beat them every year we played them. And you, too. They do. I take the Seahawks. I mean, Ron has right. The Seahawks have snuck back-to-back.
They beat them last year. I think they beat them the year before that.
Yep. And both
It was like game 1 and game 2 of the season, and now it's going to be game number 4.
But I think we get this one. It's Monday night.
Yeah. Crowd's going to be crazy.
It's prime time.
Detroit wins. Come on now.
I
hope they win, but I picked them. All right.
Hey.
Good night, Chris.
Good night, everybody. Thank you guys for joining us. Like I said, go follow us on Facebook, Fourth to Goal Sports, David, Chris. Follow us on Spotify as well. Every follower helps. You guys have a good night. We'll see you next week. See you later, Ron. We'll be all right, buddy.